you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's stuff.
Hey, Hogs Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at the DUM Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we doing?
Tonight's show is brought to you by Purcellville Flag Company. They make wooden flags behind Olivia and I. They are all made in Virginia with American-made wood, glue, nails, and everything else in blood, sweat, and tears. PFCflags.com. Go over and see Jason and Katie and buy a flag. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. It's wonderful to have you.
Hey,
Leroy.
It's good to be here.
It's Leroy. Leroy Jenkins is here, folks. Always good to have Leroy Jenkins in the house. And Amy. Amy's here. Amy, good to have you here, Amy.
That's funny.
And you're like, holy cannoli. Oh my God.
And you're like,
Even plays her intro.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Olivia's here, folks. Good to have my lovely wife here. And yeah, I mean, I want to share some news with everybody. So it's not really news. It's more of just.
And don't forget Matthew Spear, everyone.
Oh yeah, that's right. Welcome. Well, if you don't play the damn thing,
I did.
No, it's not you. It's not. It doesn't want it. It does. No, the damn thing doesn't want it.
No, it doesn't.
I know why. I know why. I know why.
I'm trying.
No, it's not you. It's not in its usual spot. That's okay. I don't care. Matt Spear, everybody, welcome. You know what? No, I'm going to download it because here's why. Because if we don't do it now,
you're going to forget, and then we're not going to have it for Friday.
Right, and then it's just going to be a kerfuckle. By the way, folks, if you don't know, Still Point's going to be in the house. Still Point is the Don't Unfriend Me band. They're not the Don't Unfriend Me band. I mean, honestly, these guys are all over Georgia. They have won a bunch of awards. They are a fantastic band. You've got to give them a listen. Stop on by Friday. We're going to play and release a new song, and it rocks. I think it's probably one of their best. Top three, to be sure. So if you have not had a chance to listen to Still Point, STIILPOINT.
And to be perfectly honest, folks, I mean, how many podcasts out there have their own studio soundtrack? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
you got to share this.
I don't know.
Right?
It's a great point. I have no idea how many. I mean, that's our intro. We play it, and it's good for everybody. Good, wholesome fun for everybody. Olivia.
Yes, sir.
Give it a try.
Oops, wrong one.
Oh, son of a. Go ahead. Try it now.
Sorry.
Matt Spear, everybody. Matt Spear, everybody.
Yay.
All right, outstanding. Listen, I did not prepare a massive show like with all the graphics and everything because we're going to be going over a singular topic, and that seems to be our best shows. But there's a few other things we're going to be talking about. But everybody knows that the FBI is sitting in, the dog and pony show's happening, where Democrats ask their stupid questions, Republicans ask their, and nobody holds anyone accountable. It doesn't matter if FBI Director Wray said, I'm the one with the cocaine, and I was doing blow off the maid's hip, and Jill Biden and I were frolicking around in her drapes that she just cut into a new dress and then I embezzled 1% of the 150 billion to Ukraine, and I shot somebody this morning, nothing would happen. Nobody would care. Nobody would do anything. The left would decree that he's innocent and a Trump appointee, therefore he can do no wrong. And the right would say that he's a crook and he orchestrated January 6th as well, and this is proof of it. There's nothing we can do. Like, this is never going to get fixed. And if anyone thinks it's going to get fixed, I simply ask you to look through history. Look at England. Look at the magistrate. They have been corrupt since the days of York.
Yep. Yeah.
Go back and look at the Persians. Look at the Greeks, the Romans, the Bolsheviks, the Ming Dynasty, for Lord's sake. It's not going to get any better. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know, every day I move into the breach, dear friends, with head down and eyes forward as I tilt in the direction of the refuse that is the news in Washington. And guess what? It doesn't make an impact. There's nothing I can say that's going to make it any better.
No. That would actually...
general direction. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberry.
That would actually have to
You're
come
pulling in
as
your
a...
own Monty Python.
You got to let Leroy go. Go, Leroy. Go, Leroy.
That would actually have to come from the public largely. That would have to be a movement that would emanate from the populace.
Correct.
And the problem is that when the government starts to use three-letter agencies in search of a crime, right, prioritizing these investigations for that three-letter agency, at that point, I mean, they may as well just issue their staff either brown or black shirts if you get
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it just various degrees of tyranny now at this point? I mean, isn't that just really what it is? Like, we're freer than most, but not really free, right? I mean, can we just say it?
Right.
Can we just say it? America is the freest place on earth, but that ain't saying much because it's still an elitist, tyrannical rule. And you just can't, you're never going to be able to stop it. There will always be peasants and there will always be kings and queens. And that's it. And titles of nobility will go out to the people who give the most benefit to the king and queen. I mean, am I just ultra negative today, or is this the accurate thing? Olivia,
I think you're pretty
you are.
accurate.
There's a difference between seeing something how it should be versus seeing something how it is. And the fact of the matter is, to your point, Matt, most of the other countries around the world, every country around the world has some level of you can't do this, right? So if you misgender someone in Canada, you will go to jail.
Yeah,
right. Even if it's your own kid, that happened. So the difference is where the United States is more free. The only difference is that you may not get arrested like you do in Canada, but here they will do their best to cancel you.
Yeah.
You may not be arrested, but you might lose your job. You might lose your livelihood. You might be smeared all over the media. So, yeah.
Can I just... A dilemma. Like, I might be coming up to your neck of the woods.
Really?
Did you hear what I just said? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm in well, it depends. I am being headhunted. Usually that's a bad thing, but it's a good thing in the corporate world, by a company that's national, and they want me to be their national sales director.
Really?
And yeah, it's a big position. I mean, it's worth a lot, and it's lucrative, and I mean, it's going to take up a lot of my time. And I don't know if I would have to move to Ohio. I think they want me to move to Ohio, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. But if it's in the States, it's all over. It's all the United States, everyone but the West Coast. So it kind of makes sense that I stay in Virginia. I mean, I have 3 major airports, all within an hour of me. Some are 20 minutes away. It makes sense because it's a centralized location on the East Coast and central and southern United States. Houston is an opportunity. Georgia, Florida, Connecticut, Ohio, Wisconsin, Kentucky. Yeah, so it's all over. And I'm like, all right, maybe. Because we could still do the show. A Monday would be an office day, like most executive positions, work from home.
Yeah.
You basically go out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you leave Tuesday morning, you hit your state you're going to be in. You hit 2 or 3 locations then. Then Wednesday, you do an all-day blitz on the other locations in the area. You may catch a hop in the late evening and go to the next state. And then Thursday, you work all day, and you come home Thursday night, and then Friday, you office from home.
Right.
So you're working 3 major days out of the week. And the only thing we would have to worry about at the DUM Show is the Wednesday night. And Olivia will go hot and run the soundboard and run everything. And it's not hard. It's easy. You can do it. It's a cakewalk. I can teach her. And then I dial into
the crash course.
Yeah, and I dial into the show, right? And that's fine. I mean, and then maybe some nights Olivia can't do it. So Leroy dials in and he does it. I buy him a soundboard and we're done. But the point is,
I could do that.
I don't know if I want to.
Oh, come on. Dummies.
No.
Buy a show in the chat.
No,
Who would like to
no.
see Leroy host a show once in a while?
No, it's not that. It's not what I'm talking about. It's not about, I want you to host the show anyway. In fact, there's nights where I want to take off where I'm wondering if you'll jump on and just do it for me. Because I don't want to. I'm like the 20th, they're doing the Diablo expansion. And I'm like all about it. So here's the thing. I don't know if I want to do the job.
Why?
Do you feel you need to have that in writing before you go? I have had a contract for the last 15 years of my career. I'm not the person you hire without a contract. So I'm not worried. Companies that work with me and recruit me know that it's going to be a contract, full relo. There'll be a full like $75,000 relo package. I mean, I've done this before. This is big. This is executive level. I mean, director of national sales that's a big position. That's $250,000 position plus bonus. So I'm kind of like, yeah, that'd be nice. I could do that for 10 years and I could retire, get myself a good 1.25 in equity, get the house paid off, have some college and then ultimately do the show. But I'm just like, do I really want to go back into the corporate world? Do I really want to go be a single serving friend? Do I really, truly want to fly 1 million miles a year?
Be away from home.
Be away from my family. And I'm like, money isn't that. The only reason I would is to pay for the house. But if I could live in like a 2-bedroom shanty, I would. I don't need this anymore. I don't need a freaking mansion. And that's what this is. It's a 5,000 square foot mansion. I don't need it. Yeah, Chris, I think Christine's right. Just do a pros and cons. And the pros are, there's a bunch of pros, but the cons are, I don't want to. That's the con. I don't want to. But if I do it, the biggest thing you need to know is that that will be my number one focus. Like I will not take a job and take a salary from a company and not, the site will suffer. It will. It'll suffer. I'll do my recorded shows in the morning when I get up and work out, and then I'll come in and I'll do a show. I'll get it posted, and then I'll go to work. And I've done this before. I did this with Valor, but I've been off for 9 months from Valor, and I'm loving it.
The other thing is if we have to move, because I just got my dream job. And that
I won't do that. I will
thing.
not. And with the company, I'll tell them I need to stay in Virginia. And when you need me at corporate, I'll come out and stay at corporate for a week or 2 weeks, or whatever you need. But there's no reason for me to move. Save the company money. Make sure I'm the right guy. Why invest $750,000 on me, $75,000 on me? Make that investment. And why don't we just hold? Let's see how this goes. Let's see how I relate to the team. Let's see if I move the needle for your company, which I most assuredly will. It's like riding a bike. And then if it feels good, then instead of bringing me on a national sales director, make me a vice president of the company, give me $500,000 a year, and I'll move to Ohio. You know what I mean?
Something else that could be considered is that while you are understandably refocusing your efforts on the potential job, that if you do have some recorded shows, that a potentially a new format could look like, well, hey, we've got this recorded show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leroy might take one day, and we play that recorded show, and then I give you my thoughts afterward, along with the
That's
dummies.
fine.
I mean, yeah,
I'm not worried about the logistics of the show. It'll suffer because my focus won't be 100% on it. And I think the greatest thing is I've got the greatest support ever in my wife, which is ridiculous. Like the greatest support I've ever had. And it's just kind of like, we're not worried. This came out of the blue. I wasn't even looking. I still haven't looked for a job. And I've got the show. The show keeps me busy. And they're like, we need you. And I did the interview and it felt good. It felt like they're really looking and they need somebody to come in. They need the philanthropic work with the veterans. They need to kind of rebrand their company a little bit, make it more modern. And it's solar power, roofing, construction. It's all the things that I know how to market. And I really want to give them a digital imprint on social media, which I know how to do. I mean, so I'm thinking, and I appreciate everybody seriously letting me do this, because you guys are my outlet. When I need to talk about something, I'm always open with you about my life, because I want to have that human connection with everybody. So I appreciate everybody allowing me to do it. I think the comment, I get to call my own shots. I do. I mean, you're recruiting me. So, I mean, I'm certainly don't want to be egotistical, but I think me saying, listen, I think if somebody told me, listen, don't invest $75K to have me move and 6 months, have me sell a house. This house will sell in 3 days. It'll be gone. Amy will sell this house in 3 days. It poof, gone. It'll be a bidding war. It'll go up to like 1 million and then it's done. The property out in Virginia is selling like I just locusts, vultures, just but
it's the move.
It's the move. And it's the stress it puts on the kids and my wife and all the shit we have. I mean, we moved 26,000 pounds last time. 26,000 pounds.
We bought our first house in June of 2011. And this is our fourth house we have purchased, and we bought it in January of 2020.
Yeah.
So in 9 years, we have purchased 4 homes.
It's time to settle.
All in different states.
It's all, and that's the thing. And that's where I'm going to tell them is, listen, I'll travel. Ohio is an hour flight from here, isn't it?
Yeah, just about.
About hour and 20. I mean, it's up and down. You basically get to altitude and you come back down. So that doesn't bother me. There's no time change. It's not central over there, right? It's Eastern Standard.
Yeah.
Eastern
Standard.
There's nothing. I could be out of this house at 5 a.m. and be there at 6:30, right? So, I mean, the airport, I could throw a rock at it. So this makes it different, because everywhere I've lived in past big cities, I'm always an hour outside the airport. I'm 15, 20 minutes away from the airport on optimal conditions. So anyway, all right. There's get my own plane. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. All right. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. This is a first interview. The headhunters are, but when a recruiting company goes, yes, let's move it forward to the CEO and the VP, you're in pretty good spot. When a recruiting company and staffing company recommends somebody, most companies will listen, unless I walk in there and go, like toy trains.
Toy trains.
If I don't do, as long as I don't do that. But I don't know. I don't think. I love what I do. I love this job. I love what I do. And I haven't even looked local, right? I mean, I could work for GameStop as a district manager, make $70K a year, and I'm still going to be just doing just fine.
Yeah.
And I could work 40 hours a week, and I could run those in my sleep. Like, I could visit my whole district in a day. I just know how to do that stuff. And that's easy for me. All right, enough. There's a lot going around in the world. Folks, thanks for, it's amazing that we actually have almost, 80 people on who are listening to me talk about my life story.
You're an interesting guy.
Oh, stop it. All right, so there's a lot going on.
That he is, folks.
Did you see the show tonight, Leroy?
I didn't. Sorry.
You did?
I did not.
Folks, we got to start off showing this show. It's funny. Like I don't know what happened, but for some reason I was just giddy this morning. Maybe too many cups of coffee, but we got to watch it. I mean, it's.
I want to. I only got to watch like 10 minutes of it when I was prepping dinner, and then
we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. In fact, we're doing it. I don't care. We're doing. Give me a.
Let's do it.
Give me a. Don't come, please. Give me.
Okay, I'm going.
You're so slow.
I
You're so
know,
slow. I'm going to find it before you. I'm going to find it before you.
Oh my God.
I'm going to find it for you.
Wait.
Hurry.
Oh, shoot.
Find it.
Oh,
It's
shoot.
painful.
Oh, shoot. Oh,
Find
shoot.
it.
Oh,
Come
shoot. I'm
on.
trying.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Such a good one. All right, this one's funny. This show, nobody's falling asleep in this show. This show is, I think it's money. You know, because I watch my shows, and when I actually laugh, that's a good thing. You know, so there was a couple times I'm like, oh, wow, that guy's clever. Like, thank you, handsome. Like, no, thank you.
Oh, wait, before we start,
Yeah.
we need the new shirt.
Oh,
You
yeah,
need to-
show
you
them
need
the.
to move my name badge so people.
No,
can
you need to
actually
stand
see
up a little bit,
it.
and I'll zoom in.
Your center camera froze?
No, it's
No.
the video, buddy.
The shirt.
You need to move the mic. Move the mic.
There.
Get me
Pot
my
pie.
pot pie. Olivia's like, dude, somebody needs to buy this thing. She's so adamant that somebody needs to buy this damn shirt.
No, my face.
Well, that's a great
is on the
marketing
shirt.
tool. I mean,
Right, just show the bibis.
Who
Right.
wants to have me on a shirt that they wear?
I have you on my bed. That's enough. And the edge, and the floor, and the refrigerator, and the couch, and the balcony. All right.
And the island in the kitchen.
Island in the kitchen. That was one time. All right, here we go. Let's do this, folks.
Oh, wait.
Listen. Wait.
was that right before dinner?
Oh, no, that was dessert. That was
That's
dessert.
a souffle.
We sanitize, bro. We sanitize. Don't worry about it. All right, here we go, folks. Let's watch this one. This isn't an extremely long show, but it's hopefully you enjoy. What is going on, Donut? What?
I just wanted to say that one of your listeners, Kevin, just said he likes your show better than the Bongino show.
Oh, come on now. Bongino's I love Bongino. That's
Dan's
nice. That's nice. But Dan, I'll be honest with you. I'm getting to that point. Like, I don't know if you've been on YouTube lately, but the video I did of the African-American national anthem singer, everyone's going in there, slavery, this. And I'm just like, will you stop fucking whining? You were never a slave. Just stop it.
Right.
Like, why do we have to sit here and live through this forever? You have not been harmed by slavery in any way, shape, or form. And nobody you know has either. And you living vicariously through your ancestors, there is a time and a place. They're like, well, what about the Jews? You don't talk. There's still people alive who were in the Holocaust, you jackass. There's still people living who are impacted by that. Can we just stop? Can we stop pretending that this is important to your life? You should care about the inner city. You should care about drug use. You should care about disproportionate crime.
That actually does raise an interesting debate. When we're talking about slavery, most people, right, when they're talking about reparations or slavery, they're referring to the slavery from the early 1800s. But what if we were talking about the slavery of today? What if we were talking about the trafficking and the sex workers that are being forced into this? Would anyone get behind the potential for some sort of reparations for them? Just a question.
Well, I think it's a multifaceted question, right? I mean, we understand that slavery is wrong, right?
It's just intended to.
It's a
start
good
dialogue.
question. It's a good question. But what do we consider reparations? And when do we draw a line for reparations? Do we believe that all women deserve reparations before suffrage? Do we believe men deserve reparations because of prostate cancer and a lot of the medicine and the stress that they put on men and the amount of coffee we have to take because we have to work 60 hours a week to stay awake creates gallstones, creates issues with our prostate. Because we ultimately do that, we wear down and our testosterone levels decrease. So we have to take T supplements in order to go ahead and feel alive and awake because of our low testosterone. Well, that creates higher risk of prostate cancer. Should I get reparations for that?
By the way, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that if
I know
we're-
you're, no, I know.
if
I'm
we
asking
were-
the question.
No, yeah. I'm just saying that, like, if we really started diving into it for the people that are advocating for reparations, that if we're in any way comparing it to modern day slave labor, i.e. sex workers, should they not be considered first ahead of your
Right.
needs? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, Native Americans receive some reparations. Japanese internment, No, Native Americans have not received reparations. Jewish Americans
they haven't.
received reparations. Japanese Americans for internment camps received reparations. And I think, honestly, for Olivia, because she was not well endowed in her birthright from having a very large chest, should get reparations for not having the largest set of
And
tatas.
That's really going. That you're mean.
I'm not mean. I'm mean.
Nobody's not going to get
please,
tatas
victim.
tonight.
Talk about being a victim.
I need some reparations now.
No shit. Talk about being a victim. Oh my God, I'm mean.
You know, I've never thought about the whole
Restorations?
women's suffrage thing. I mean, I'm a woman, and before
Hold on a
suffrage-
second.
Yes, I'm a woman.
We need proof of life here. We don't. In today's day and age,
It's
we
not
don't
a rated R show.
Okay, go
dear.
ahead.
Right.
But
All right.
I've never said, hey, the women, my ancestors, my female ancestors suffered. They couldn't vote. They couldn't do this.
Right.
They couldn't do that.
Right.
I have never once said, because my great-great-great-grandmother couldn't vote and was treated poorly, that I need reparations for that. Why? Because it's not shoved in my face every day.
Well, there were a
This is
lot of-
shoved in
yeah.
people's faces every day, so it's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts.
Yeah.
And
Right.
There were tens of thousands of white slaves too. Can we not forget that? Chinese, Irish. Hello. Do they all get reparations? I mean, we were
There's some
slaves
level
to
of
the Romans.
slavery in everyone's family's past.
That's right. Christians were slaves to the Romans. Do I get reparations from Rome? Can I go ahead and sue the Vatican? Stampeding the Vatican. Kinky.
Inky.
So,
Yeah.
Kinky. All right, let's get to it. We got to watch this show. We got to watch this show. This show's good, folks. I'm telling you, you're going to laugh. Here it is. Friend Me Nation episode. And I'm starting right out on these shows. I'm not doing any advertising. I'm just going right into it, which I think people kind of enjoy. Here it is. Code 499. 500 is going to be Friday night. Join us with Still Point Live. It'll be a good time. Joe Biden. Uncle Joe. Do we have Kamala? Where's Kamala? Hold on. I think I have Kamala here. Uncle, we did it, Joe. We did it. Hold on. Where's it at? There it is.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
We did it. Uncle Joe. Grandpa Joe. They've done such a great job having him in the basement, having him eat ice cream, showing videos of him watching Matlock and Murder, She Wrote, putting on an Afghan shawl when it's just a little chilly outside. Yes, Grandpa Joe. What a fantastic image they've weaved for us. This charismatic, affable-natured human being who plagiarizes in college and lies about his transcripts. Doesn't do anything while he's in office for 47 some odd years. Doesn't pass any legislation. Hung out with KKK members. Said more racist stuff than I can even shake a stick at. My gosh, Joe Biden. You all remember this one?
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I bet you do, Joe. And who calls black children roaches? Really? And who talks about kids jumping on their lap? I don't know. But he also said that.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Wow. Gets away with just about anything. It's almost like it's Hillary Clinton with hot sauce in her purse. Joe Biden, Grandpa Joe, just that embarrassing grandfather that, and you want to put him over on the table with the other kids just because you know that all the food's going to be all over the table. It's going to be a hot mess. But more importantly, you don't want to smell the Old Spice and the 3 or 4 scotches that they had, but you love Grandma, so you got to bring Grandma over. But unfortunately, Grandpa comes too. Yes, Joe Biden, the American president. Listen, this isn't about ageism. Joe Biden's old. We've had old presidents before. Joe Biden's really old. And yes, Donald Trump's old too, but he's not even close to Joe Biden. Come on, there's 10 times more energy coming out of Trump. We know this because Joe Biden starts his day at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. It's open. And then he has a full lid at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The guy's had 371 vacation days. Now people go, oh, well, Donald Trump played golf. Yeah, on the weekends. So Donald Trump took the weekends off. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. As the president of the United States, I think you should be the hardest working person in the world. And was Donald Trump? Well, yeah, he got around, folks. And yeah, he played some golf too. There's no doubt about it. But does that make it okay that Joe Biden does? Absolutely not. But they're rebranding his image. Why? Well, because his numbers are in the toilet. I just went through a little bit of his life history. If I look at his presidency, it's 10 times worse. We can look at inflation. We can look at gas prices. We can look at the state of the world and where we're at. China is sounding off, ready to go into Taiwan. You got North Korea sending up missiles again. You've got Putin who invaded Ukraine. From a world stage, we're not doing too well. We're not talking to Jerusalem. We're not talking to Israel. We're not recognizing. We haven't moved the embassy yet. Borders out of control. Fentanyl. I mean, can we go on and on and on? Look at jobs. Oh, well, we have all these jobs that have come around. Yeah, that's because people are working multiple jobs. A lot of people pretend that that isn't counted, but it is counted. Let's stop pretending that we're in a better place than we were a couple years ago. Now, maybe from a mean tweets perspective, we weren't in a better place. But now, look where we are. Let's be honest. And now they have to go ahead and change his image, which is why we're seeing Bidenomics. Joe Biden, a new man. Very similar to what they did to John McCain. If you remember John McCain, the Maverick. They had to go ahead and make John McCain the Maverick. He rides with Iceman. He's the wingman. Come on. John McCain, hero, not hero, whatever you think he is, I don't really care. I'm not here to trounce on the man's grave. He had his faults, he had his strengths, and I'm not a huge fan, but I'm not going to sit here and bash him. But he was old, and they tried to brandish him as this powerful, energetic young man, and he wasn't. And Joe Biden isn't either. But the interesting thing is Morning Joe is pointing out these things. And Morning Joe is obviously, those two are... Who wants to be in between those sheets? I mean, I don't want the pick of the litter. But the point is that they argue constantly. Always one thing they agree on is how much they hate Donald Trump. But they seem to be kind of agreeing. And Joe is a little taken aback that his partner in crime here is talking about Joe Biden's age and the image of him constantly tripping over himself. Watch this, and then I will address the rest.
They also managed to schedule very carefully.
Yeah, I think his staff needs to own his age. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think they do a good job.
His staff needs to own his age. Wow, they're saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, now it's not even about, listen, he's spry. You know, that's how they define old people, right? They're spry. No one has ever said anyone under 60 is spry. I mean, that would just be an insult. But to an old person, it's like, oh, they're spry? Oh, well, they're fine. They're going to live another at least 2 to 3 years. But here in this situation, he's damn old. Listen to this.
Helping out the president. And I'm not talking about it like, I'm just saying, if you are managing a president's schedule and you are managing a president getting on stage and getting off stage and getting on planes and getting off plane, and yes, he's 80, you need to be there for him and you need to make a pathway.
Like what? Catching him? Like behind him with a pooper scooper? What do you mean? Giving him random injections? Just walk, excuse me, Mr. President. All right, you're good to go, sir. Have a good day. Knock out that press conference. What are we talking about here? What do you have to manage? What are you, a vet? I don't understand. Why does his staff, what are they, orderlies? Is this a nursing home? Well, she's saying it.
And you sure as hell better make sure he doesn't fall on a sandbag. And I blame the staff for that.
In a world where sandbags usually fall on people, you're falling on a sandbag. It's okay. She's doing fine. Keep it up. Euphemisms, but be damned. You're doing just fine.
I mean, these are the things that are going to hurt him. These are things that are going to be played on a loop. Okay? Let him do his job. Let him do his speeches. Let him work on policy. Let him do his connections in Congress.
Let him color his books. Let him do story hour. We can do a little macrame. Some cross stitching at noon. Water aerobics at 5. Come on.
Like any president that we've seen, I don't know, since Clinton. But my God,
Clinton.
Make sure, your Secret Service, you're his staff, that you were there and you're telling him what's next. And it's not because, don't take this as...
Chew his tapioca pudding for him so he doesn't gum it all day. These type of things are important. Secret Service, come here. Why don't you come over here and chew this bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich without bacon in it.
Oh, he can't even get from one place to another. When you're busy and you're on stage, and we've been on stage,
Right.
I've done speeches.
This guy wears a dress. He catches. She definitely pitches. I mean, I'm just letting you know this is a beta male of epic proportions. He's like, we get on stage. He's like, yes, honey. Yes, we do. Yes, we on stage. Yes, ma'am, we do.
And I'm so nervous. I'm doing the speech. I'm trying to get it right. And when it's done, I don't know which way to go. And I'm looking for direction. So do a better job. Because you can't have these video images of the president tripping or the president like going the wrong way. It's not going to work in this presidency because his age is going to be a factor.
And damn it, we're going to make sure it is by doing a full segment on it.
His age is going to be a factor, and it's your job to make sure he gets from one place to another. He can handle the presidency. You have to handle his schedule and where he goes.
Well, and the scheduling.
It makes me mad.
The scheduling is so important. You have with every president, you have different strengths, you have different weaknesses. If Reagan,
just cut him off. Shut up, Joe. Nobody's asking you. But here's the thing. How do you combat that? Well, of course, the Democrats immediately get involved in the spin because on primetime, we have the answer. We have a story to leak about how Joe Biden eats the faces of his staff and laser beams come out of his eyes and he turns into a Valkyrie from hell. No, Valkyries are usually angelic in nature, but this one has turned the tide as he strikes down with furious anger against anyone who opposes him, even a 19-year-old intern, if he's not sniffing her hair. So what do they have to do? They have to change his image. They have to make him look like Donald Trump, because who can face Donald Trump? The worst, the horrible Donald Trump, the Russia president. Because let's face it, here's the movie. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump, 2016. One man. I'm doing Pablo Francisco. Just deal with it. I'm going to take it. One desire, one mission, to ruin America. Russian collusion. E. Jean Carroll. Georgia election fraud. P-tapes. Russia. Our democracy is in jeopardy. January 6th. Coming in 2024, Donald J. Trump. The only person who can beat him is Joe Spry Biden. Come on. Donald Trump's going to beat himself if he keeps going like this. Joe Biden doesn't stand a chance to actually stand up and compare himself to Donald Trump from policy or from an energy perspective. But they want to make him now look like this maverick, this tough guy, this guy behind the scenes. So they're going to throw a little dirt, right? Like cocaine isn't bad enough, right? Like quid pro quo and taking money from the Chinese Communist Party isn't maverick enough. They need to do something. It's a head fake. It's like when you're in an interview for a job and they say, what's your weakness? And they're like, oh, that's a really good question. I work too hard. And that's bull. You don't work too hard. You're probably an arrogant dick. You probably don't show up on time. Your coworkers don't like you. That's probably an opportunity. Everyone always gives a pseudo opportunity that sounds good. It's like a backhanded compliment, but it's in reverse. You go ahead and you pretend to fall on the sword and say something that's bad when really it's good. Oh, you work too hard? Oh, that's horrible. How dare you? Really, what you're saying is I'm going to cover up for my real opportunity. Joe Biden is old. Joe Biden is not grumpy. He's just an old guy who likes to go ahead and say stupid stuff, right? He's not tough. He's not going to take anyone behind the barn. Corn Pop most assuredly was a bad dude, but Joe Biden didn't do anything. He probably got beat up by Corn Pop.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah.
And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Right. So you got to go ahead and give him a new image. And who's going to do it? These people, because primetime CNN planted the story in the morning with Morning Joe, and then they have a solution at night. Here it is.
All right, we know that President Biden likes to cultivate his public image as kindly Uncle Joe, he's often referred to. But apparently behind the scenes, I'm talking about in private, he reportedly has a bit of a temper and leashes it on his staff. That's according to an article by Axios. Alex Thompson is the national political reporter, and he joins me now. Alex, I'm glad that...
And Alex is like, I can't believe I'm going to go ahead and try to sell this crap, but I'm going to do it through a toothy smile.
You're here. We've been on Sirius XM.
Doesn't he look like the guy that does Golem and does all those facial things? Like, Golem. My precious. That's what he looks like. Who's that? What's that guy's name? Somebody tell me down there. Andy Serkis or some crap.
Together, we can't swear here right
I'll
now
have a
on
picture of
cable.
him up
But let
here.
me ask.
They can't swear on cable, right? You remember the time when Donald Trump cussed in one of his rallies, and I think he said BS, and then all of a sudden they're just like, he's an a-hole, and then BS, and all this other, and they started cussing up a storm on CNN. They did it for like a week, and then they got the ratings back. Oh, and people clutched their pearls, but now they can't cuss. Yeah, whatever.
Many people may not have read this in full to fully understand what exactly President Biden is being accused of doing or how he's behaving. Break it down for me.
Yeah, so
break it down for me, man.
Like maybe he'll whisper a bit when he's trying to make a point, but behind closed doors, he's prone to yelling. It's much saltier language, and he'll really angrily grill into his staff to the point that some staffers are actually a bit afraid to meet alone with the president.
Really?
All you got to do is take the remote from him, and he will be docile as a puppy. Give him some tapioca. Go ahead and give him some Metamucil, orange flavored. Mix it into his freaking his malto meal. He'll be fine. What do you, Joe Biden's right? Hold on 1 second while I get out of this chair. I swear, when I do, I'm going to kick your ass. I just run circles around Grandpa, slap him upside the head. What is he going to do? He's not going to do. He's Joe Biden. He can't even walk.
Sometimes they'll bring in an extra person or two in order so that the firing line is a little bit distributed among
Angie. I'll explain what the Hatch Act is in a second.
Several different staffers.
He's worse than Steve Jobs.
This runs really counter to the image that most people, I think, would have of President Biden.
Sure does.
How
I wonder
are we
why.
knowing this? I mean, how do you get the reporting? Who's complaining about this? Is current, former
Nobody.
staff? Who?
Nope, nobody.
Current, former, and by
Nobody.
former I mean former.
Yeah, a few whistleblowers have come out and talked about, oh, we're not talking about that. No. No whistleblowers. We're just talking about the people who are disenfranchised with Joe Biden, even though he hasn't fired anybody on his staff. Because everyone does such a stellar job, because they're all Obama replants. I wonder why.
White House staff, current White House and administration staff. Plus, you even have people going back. You know, we had a headline today. We called it Old Yeller. But I can confirm to you that Joe Biden was a young Yeller, too. And so we even talked to staff that went back to the early 2000s. And
He was a yellow dog that died at the end? What? I don't understand. What is the old yellow? Oh, Yeller. Oh, like Yeller. Like, oh, horrible, dude. Horrible.
The fact is that this is a guy that has been professionally staffed for more than half of his
If you wear dress shoes with blue jeans, you have a problem.
life, and he's had a long life. So it's been over 50 years where he's had people staffing him, and as a result, there's a generational difference too. You know, he's really, really tough on staff, and he already had that, as he calls, you know, get his Irish up. He already had that Irish temper, and he'll really lay into people.
God. You know those Irish people, as they constantly drink and are alcoholics and they have no conscience. Dude, what is this show? I mean, listen, folks, we don't mean to be racist or nationalist here, but we're going to go ahead and do that in the sake of being ageists.
And in some cases, you know, make them feel humiliated, make them feel embarrassed.
How?
And
Give me
really
examples.
feel like, and truly be cussed out.
Does
I'm
he
not
sniff 'em?
joking when I say this. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Oh, come on,
Everybody,
Joe.
everybody is entitled to be treated with decency and dignity.
That's right.
That's
except for
from-
Republicans, except for those MAGA T traitors, those deplorables, those racist, xenophobic, transphobic, those people who are destroying America. Anyone who voted for Donald Trump, vote for me in 2024.
Missing in a big way the last 4 years.
Will you take questions on inflation then?
Let's move. Thank you. Thank you
Do you
all.
think inflation is a political liability ahead of the midterm?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a...
Oh, he's feisty. Come on, folks. Joe Biden is this guy. Are you kidding me? He can't even walk. He can't even talk. And I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just being honest. He's not a threat. The only threat that Joe Biden is to the American people and the vision of America. He should not be in office for another 4 years. And really, we can sit here and talk about policy. We can talk about what type of character he has. But truly, we need to move on. We can't take another 4 years of stagnation, of doing absolutely nothing but spending money, printing it at an ungodly rate, and having no accountability for our government and what they do. And this is on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. It's going to take that person, that tough guy, that maverick, that person to whip people into shape, to make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to do, to challenge both sides of the aisle equally. It's not Joe. Don't you remember when they told us that he was the great negotiator? He was going to come in and reach across the aisle like the days of Tip O'Neill and Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton and get up there and do his thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go ahead and touch my chocolate chip cookie. Just touch it. Seriously, come on over here and put your fingers on it. Go ahead. Oh, doesn't that feel nice and warm? Yeah, that does. He wasn't going to do that, and he never was going to do. He's not that guy. You can sit here and talk about this all day long. You're never going to change his image. America does not like Joe Biden. They only voted for him because they didn't like Donald Trump. It's the same reason why Donald Trump won, because they didn't like Hillary Clinton. We need to put some younger, non-spry people on the national stage. We need a debate in this country, and we need to rise the level of debate in this country. We simply don't talk about things anymore. We just accept this as somehow this guy is indicative and reflective of the United States and what we're about. Joe Biden is not the great white hope. He never was, and he never will be. And you can change his image, and you can have him throw a baseball bat with barbed wire on it, with chunks of brain matter, and make him look like Negan from Walking Dead. But ultimately, he's not. He's a guy who's approaching the end of his term. And he is going to be a lame duck president, as nobody is going to give this guy a mandate. It's time that we stop trying to rebrand his image. It's time that we stop trying to reinvent the same shit from a different pile. We need to look at other candidates. We need to look at our options. And ultimately, we need to get involved by making the choice in the local elections, in the school boards, in the county clerks, and the sheriffs, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. That is where they bake the bread, so to speak, not at the federal level and not the national stage. Really, truly, the president is not the president of the people. He's the president of the governors of the states. If you want to make change, it happens in the legislature. It happens in the Senate and the Congress and the mayor and the gubernatorial races. Think about that when you go ahead and vote down ticket without checking to ensure that the person you're voting for isn't a Joe Biden. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. I hope you had a chance to laugh. People are going to... Oh, cool. All right, so glad we watched it. Yeah, I wanted to make sure we got it in there. All right.
As I was listening to that, honestly, I was listening to that, the first thing that I thought of when you started doing the movie monologue, I actually wrote one real quick. In a world where sandbags trip presidents in search of his favorite ice cream, one woman, Kamala Harris, debates on whether to have training wheels installed on the presidential bike. Just something like that.
Love it, dude. It's a good start.
Yeah.
It'll probably be better than Indiana Jones. I would assume. So, it can't be any more woke than Disney.
That. It was not good.
No. Was it bad? I heard there's one part where they're in a car and they talk about capitalism. They're like, that's the downside of capitalism. And I'm like, oh my God.
Was it better than Keen with the Crystal Skull?
It was way better than that one.
That was garbage, garbage.
Okay,
It was
so at least
trash.
we got something to look forward to.
I just love how Indiana Jones has to have a goddaughter. Come on. Does it have to be a woman? Can't it just be a white kid? Just, not gay, not Chinese.
Well, I mean,
somebody.
The cards were on the table for Shia LaBeouf, but nobody likes the guy. So
Shia's been through some shit. I'm not going to pick on Shia. Just do it. Do it. Just do it. Do we have that anymore?
Do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it.
I'm amazed Nike didn't hire him as their
dude.
spokesperson.
Like, I won't talk shit about Shia because I don't want to end up dead. Like, that guy will come to my house and be like, you freaking talking to me? Don't you ever? Yeah, it's just, he's like a Robert De Niro. Just leave him alone.
He's going to come and kick your ass.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where are the glasses? Are you ladies man 50427? Are you lady man 40527? Dude, taking this shit a little seriously.
Shia LaBeouf and an angry Joe Biden.
LaBeouf.
Now we've got a movie. Now
Oh,
we've
that'd
got
be
something
great.
we can talk about.
I think he would take Shia LaBeouf to the back of the barn. Shia LaBeouf's a bad dude. Go ahead and get him. All right. Listen, this is a heavy topic. It's a heavy topic. We've got a big one. I mean, there's a lot of information in here, and that's why I wanted to do the video first, because I wanted to keep it light. But there's a lot here. This is the FBI's collaboration with compromised Ukrainian intelligence agency to censor American speech. Holy crap.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
This is an interim staff report from the Committee on Judiciary and Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, U.S. House of Representatives, July 10th, 2023. Got a copy for you. I want to thank Senator Kat Kamek for this. And she posted it, which you got to love. And it's a little buggy. Hold on. I don't want to go too fast because it'll change the page. So here's a quote from Zelensky. Such an array of crimes against the foundations of the state's national security and the links recorded between Ukrainian security forces and Russian special services raise very serious questions about their respective leaders. July 17th, 2022. The First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States is the bedrock of our political system and guarantees every American the right to speak his or her mind freely and without interference from the government. It is predicated on the understanding that no government official has a monopoly on the truth and that every American is capable of evaluating competing claims and deciding what to believe. On February 15th, 2023, as part of its investigation into the federal government's role in censoring lawful speech on social media platforms, the Committee on the Judiciary issued a subpoena to Meta. Now, you guys remember I just did a show on Meta breaking them down about how child sex trafficking, over 27 million requests, over 86% of related crimes to child sex trafficking or concern about sex trafficking and reported sex trafficking was handled through Meta and the Facebook platform. It's very concerning. Now you have them censoring speech. It's hard for me, as I am paid by Facebook, to continue to stay on this channel and continue to have it be my main channel when I'm hearing this stuff. I mean, this is very concerning, extremely concerning to me. That, and we know they were doing it to me. Okay, fine. But this is everybody. I mean, they are giving sensitive information about you to the FBI, saying that you are a rabble rouser or a domestic terrorist or an anti-Ukrainian mindset. I have never been anti-Ukraine. I'm just not pro-Ukraine, and I'm not pro-Russia. I'm just pro. I don't give idgaff. I don't give a flying fuck about either of them. Here's the rest of it. The parent company of Google and YouTube also. Documents obtained in a response to the subpoenas revealed that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, on behalf of a compromised Ukrainian intelligence entity, requested and in some cases directed the world's largest social media platforms to censor Americans engaging in constitutionally protected speech online. Listen to that. As Wray sat up there today, and Democrats are flocking to his defense and saying how fantastic the FBI is, which this breaks my heart. I had a dream as a boy to join the FBI. I went to the military to work intelligence, and I went to college so I could work with the FBI. That was one of my dreams. And I have been a steadfast supporter of federal, state, and local police agencies. For me to say this is difficult, but for him to sit up there when we know firsthand, Olivia and I do, that they called us domestic terrorists because we went to school board meetings or we had questions about what the school board was doing.
Right.
Like, that's not enough. Now we have them censoring, and we know they did this on Twitter. We know they did this to me on with COVID, and now they're doing it here. The committee's investigation has revealed that the FBI, the federal law enforcement agencies responsible for disrupting foreign maligned influence, facilitated censorship requests to America's social media companies on behalf of a Ukrainian intelligence agency infiltrated by Russian-aligned actors. In so doing, the FBI violated the First Amendment rights of Americans and potentially undermined our national security in light of well-documented instances.
You have a question from the audience.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this. Okay, that's the easiest way. Give me the question.
All right, so Nancy Jennings says, Matt, I want your thoughts on the FBI grilling today. Who do we trust?
All right, so this is why we're doing this. Because the thing I've always told y'all is that when you find one item of impropriety, one nugget of lies, one piece of disinformation, one misdirection, something nefarious, it discredits everything that's said, and it's your job to start investigating other mistruths. But you don't do it until you have that one scintilla, that one modicum of evidence that says, now I got him in a lie, now I got him doing something nefarious, and now I can start unraveling the rest of their story. That is just smart. What's not smart is like Republicans can't possibly do this. Trump can't do this, therefore January 6th was set up by the FBI. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is use fact, use unequivocal, 100% exculpatory evidence to pick it apart. So who do you trust? You trust this. Because this, they stood up on stage under oath and said, no, we're not doing this. We're not spying on Americans. Lie. We know this with the data leaks from WikiLeaks. We knew this from Julian Assange. We knew it from the kid who I can't remember his name, NSA guy.
Snowden?
Snowden.
Yeah, Snowden. We learned all of this. Go ahead, Leroy.
Well, there's a great analogy out there, and that is that if you think of the government like a magician, right, to Matt's point, the misdirection, the moving the balls under the cups type trick, right, there is a certain segment of our society who is more than willing to just sit by and be wowed by the magic and never ask any questions. They don't care what the truth is. They just love the show. And then there are people who want to know how the trick works. They understand that there is some level of misdirection, and they understand that, look, it's a great trick, but I'm not to trust you. Obviously, because you can, do all of this sleight of hand crap. When you start really looking at some of the way that the headlines that have been rolling for the last 2 days, from AP News, the Biden administration asks court to block its order limiting its contacts with social media. That's from
Correct.
AP News. From NPR, which is about as left-leaning a media as you can get, says that the judge limits Biden administration's communication with media outlets. So when we start looking at it, you have to understand the severity of this and the overreach that is happening. The government has weaponized its influence on media groups, on Facebook, on Twitter, because again, this has been said on this show, because if they can control how you feel, they can control what you think. That's a big thing, and we should all be petrified of that before we all turn into 1984 type lemmings. We don't want that. Think for yourselves, Go ahead,
Yeah.
Matt. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all, dude. It's all very, very good points, and it's on point. Just let me.
Something else for all the Ohio listeners who are watching right now. This August 1, there's a vote coming up, and you need to vote yes on issue 1. Make sure that you go out and vote. For everyone who's watching in Ohio now, just give me a thumbs up. If you're in Ohio, yes on issue 1. Thanks, guys.
No problem. We'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe you can explain a little bit more on this. So the infiltration was done by the FSB, which is an intelligence agency for the Russian government. Consider them to be similar to our FBI, but more NSA style type of intelligence gathering. Then the SBU in Ukraine forwarded a takedown request to the FBI. And then the takedown request was sent to Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube through the FBI. So this is, okay, I want you to consider this. Fine. So Russia came in, posed as an intel collection agency that was pro-Ukraine. That's, okay, so you're like, okay, so they manipulated the situation. Okay, so that's why it happened. Okay, so here's the question. Why the hell is the American Federal Bureau of Investigation taking orders from Ukraine?
Right.
That's the real question, right? That's the one you need. You don't get to go, oh, well, Russia did it. No, because that's what all the liberals are saying. Oh, Russia did this, man. How can you blame the FBI? I don't blame the FBI for being infiltrated. I think everyone who has a position of authority should be fired and removed and give their letters of resignation to the DOJ, the attorneys general, and Biden for a complete blunder. But I don't blame them for being conned. I blame them for why in the hell and which order and which piece of legislation has weaponized the FBI and given the sovereignty of the FBI to Ukraine. That's the question.
Right.
And if you're not asking that question, you're not paying attention. And if you're okay with that, you have a serious freaking detach and disconnect from reality that deserves to be checked. The fact that Ukraine is dictating how information is spread in the United States is absolutely 100% unequivocally terrifying.
Should never happen.
Unbelievable. The committee's investigation has revealed that the FBI, the federal law enforcement agency responsible for disrupting foreign affairs, was culpable in this. Now, let's go to the next part. Oh, this is so buggy. So buggy. All right, here it is. The committee's analysis of this disinformation registries revealed that the FBI, at the request of the SBU, flagged for social media companies the authentic accounts of Americans, including a verified U.S. State Department account and those belonging to the American journalists.
I hit a mile in 1 quarter in 20 minutes.
High five, buddy.
Oh, he's
mile
working
and a
out?
quarter in 20 minutes. Dude, those little legs did a mile and a quarter in 20 minutes. Good for you, son. The
You guys are all
FBI
gonna start making me feel guilty for not working out.
The FBI and SBU repeatedly requested the removal or suspension of authentic accounts, expressing unambiguously pro-Ukrainian views, as well as those voicing opposition to Russian Vladimir Putin. At times, the FBI would even follow up with the relevant platform to ensure that... I lost my page. To ensure... So frustrating.
Yeah, that page looks really like choppy.
It's not my fault. It's just
No,
it
no,
keeps
no, I know.
scrolling. Interacting with the FBI's cooperation to request is deeply concerning. Would even follow up with the relevant platform to ensure that these accounts were taken down. Regardless of its intended purpose in endorsing the SBU's request, the FBI had no legal justification for facilitating the censorship of Americans' protected speech on social media. Let me say that again. Had absolutely no legal justification, which means there was no order from the president. There was no piece of legislation. There were no wartime powers. Nothing. 100% acted alone on the behest of Ukraine, which is even more scary because that means there was a unspoken authorization to do this coming from up high from the White House. That's what that means, because intel officials don't act on their own. It's one of these. If you see anything from A, B, and C, you will do D, E, and F. Do we have written authorization to this? No, we do not. This is to be executed upon the will of high command. Period. You do it. You do what you're told. But there's no paper trail for this. In July 2022, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky fired the head of the SBU on the account of Russian infiltration of the SBU. Given that the SBU was compromised by a network of Russian collaborators, sympathizers, and double agents, At the time of its interactions with the FBI's uncritical cooperation with the SBU's request is deeply concerning. The inclusion of American accounts on the SBU's list indicates that the FBI either did not properly vet the SBU's request or was aware of their domestic nature and nonetheless carried them out. These findings highlight the need for additional oversight and legislative reform to protect America's freedom of speech. The committee, through and with its select subcommittee and the weaponization. Why are we talking about the tunneling under Vegas from Elon Musk? I mean, dude, are we even paying attention? I've never known how a teacher feels until I do this show sometimes. And people are literally passing love notes. What are you doing?
They've got their own side conversations. They all do. Always.
What is this?
Yeah.
Are we dating here? Is this a dating app? My God, it's the most frustrating thing, man. I swear to God. Like I want to put you in the corner and put the dunce hat on you. SBU's list indicate that the FBI did not properly vet the SBU's request or was aware of the domestic nature and nonetheless carried them out. The committee, through and with its select subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government, is charged with investigating violations of the civil liberties of citizens of the United States. Pursuant to this authority and committee's responsibility to conduct oversight of the FBI.
Pause that.
Yeah,
because the party that just got done telling us that they fought for civil rights for all Americans, in one paragraph, that whole thing seems to be in jeopardy, right? If their intention is to infringe upon the civil rights of every American by way of the First Amendment and stomping on that because of the influence from another country, then you really need to think your position.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, do you guys understand how serious this is? This isn't even a joke.
No, that's
this is
terrifying.
You're being spied on. You're being told, listen, do you understand how many people have an issue with Ukraine? I'm going to show you a video that's going to make you just absolutely go, what in the name of God is going on? Zelensky is turning on the Biden administration. Zelensky is upset because he's not allowed into NATO, and he's giving these ultimatums or else. This guy questioned the Biden administration and is questioning NATO. They don't want him in NATO. Do you understand that Ukraine is just a stepping stone to ensure that since 1940, it is absolutely the demilitarization, or at least the influence in Europe that Russia possesses? They don't want Russia to have any influence on the EU at all. And the United States government has done everything they can since 1940 to interfere by even coming to the aid of Russia, but then literally wanting, after we dropped the bomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, to attack Russia and go in and invade Russia, knowing what they would do in Europe. NATO was formed to stop Russia or any other major aggression to go into Western Europe again, because U.S. interest was in that location. Go ahead, Leroy.
The whole point of NATO was that in the original, I think it was 44 countries that came to their meeting in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. NATO was the agreement that basically said, look, we're going to write your security policies. Now you get to trade free. You don't ever have to anguish under a system of imperialism again by guarding your own shipments. We'll take care of that. But here's the deal. If we police everyone's shipping lanes, then if the time were to ever come where someone needs to fight that war, you're going to stand in front of the United States.
Right.
That was the deal.
Right. And you're talking about Zelensky. So why? Let me ask you a question. If Zelensky makes inadvertent innuendos that he's not happy with not being allowed into NATO, why are we defending this country? If they don't meet the basic requirements, Turkey, folks, Erdogan is in NATO. Turkey is in NATO. And the only reason is that we could point Trident missiles and Minuteman missiles at Russia. That's why Turkey got into NATO, just so you know. That's the only reason why Russia cares about Cuba. And right. China cares about Cuba, is so they can point missiles at the United States. Turkey is not a good country. They just went over a coup. They have a dictator for a leader. Turkey is not a good country. They've never been a good country. And they're in. How bad must Ukraine be if they don't let them in, A? And B, why don't they want to let them in? Because we know the moment we do, it's World War III. How is that going to change when the war is over? It's not.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, go.
Would you like to explain this in layman's terms for me and everyone else in the audience who has absolutely no idea what you're saying?
I don't think the whole audience, has anyone said that?
Maybe it's just me.
Okay, so
but I don't know. But this entire document has gone over my head. And
Pot Pie,
absolutely
listen,
no
Pot Pie,
idea.
Pot Pie, listen. This is what's happening.
At least I admitted.
Hey,
it
Pot
this
Pie,
time.
I got something to tell you. Listen, sweet pea.
What?
Russia, FSB is Intel.
Okay.
They're an intelligence gathering apparatus. They infiltrated Ukrainian intelligence.
Okay.
And started promoting and saying to take down and monitor accounts that were anti-Russian or do this to pro accounts and censor whatever selected accounts that they wanted that were anti-Putin or were not pro-Zelensky. Ukraine went ahead and then passed this order along to the FBI, and the FBI started ordering social media accounts to censor, to ban, and to remove this type of information.
And users.
So a foreign government infiltrated the United States of America intelligence apparatus and used it against American citizens, and nobody's heads are rolling. So when you ask me, should Wray be held accountable? Who should we believe? You should believe this document holds Wray culpable for a massive intelligence breach and weaponized through a foreign government, and one that we're giving proxy munitions to and billions of dollars to censor and silence American citizens. In days of old, that would be sedition and treason.
Yep. Exactly.
Because we are at a time of war, folks, and that's why they're not charging anybody with insurrection. Because the insurrection clause is tied to wartime. And that's why they're not going to charge anybody with the document stealing and call it treason with Donald Trump and his documents or Joe Biden, because we're not at a time of war for that. But this is important. Go ahead, Leroy.
50 years ago, prior to social media, prior to all of this, this could be equivocated to Ukraine. Let's just say that there was no social media. This would be the same as Ukraine basically saying, hey, look, New York Times, we don't want you to run any negative articles against us, and we want you to do nothing but pen negative articles against Russia. Do that for us. And somebody at some point needs to say, no, you live on the other side of the world. You're not American. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of the press. You don't get to tell us what to say, what to think, how to say. You don't get any of that. That's not your call. And that's the severity of this. So yeah, I completely.
We haven't even gotten to the part that should make everyone flip out. So Liv, I appreciate the question. I was teasing. It's a good one because not everyone's familiar with this. So I'm gonna.
There was a couple people who, after I said something, said I agree.
No, and that's fine. Then ask questions, and we will go ahead and answer.
Yeah, I just need it in layman's terms.
That's as layman as I can get. Let me read it so I can go ahead and give it to you. Director Christopher Wray organized the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force. It's the FITF. In fall of 17 to identify and counteract malign foreign influence operations targeting the United States. Okay, so the FBI director creates an anti-task force, task force to go ahead and monitor any foreign governments trying to influence our country. Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. According to Wray, the FITF is specifically charged with identifying and combating foreign influence. It's led by the Counterintelligence Division and comprises agents, analysts, professional staff from the Counterintelligence, Cyber, Counterterrorism, and Criminal Investigative Divisions. And yes, that is the CCCCID. The FITF coordinates extensively with social media platforms, conducting frequent meetings with companies. Representatives from FITF also participate in broader joint meetings among members of the intelligence community. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA. Section Chief Laura Demlow is the head of the FITF. On March 1, 2022, Section Chief Delmev briefed a misinformation subcommittee advising CISA, a component of the Department of Homeland Security, regarding the FBI's roles and responsibilities in combating foreign influence. As Section Chief Demlow told the subcommittee, the FITF is responsible for responding to foreign malign information, which she's defined as subversive data utilized to drive a wedge between the populace and the government. Section Chief Demlow also claimed during the meeting that the government needs to early educate the populace about mis, dis, and malign information. Critical thinking seems to be a problem currently. So listen to what I just...
miss what the FITF is?
Yes, that is the task force.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm going to put it in layman's terms.
Okay.
You had a rogue element of a task force and a section chief dictate policy and give an unlawful order to control information that is disseminated by the citizens of this country by utilizing and weaponizing a task force to direct social media companies to suppress information from being distributed that they did not like.
Right.
There is no order.
When the government starts leaning on private companies, i.e. Facebook and Twitter, to basically say, hey, we want you to disallow certain themes of posts. We want you to write certain algorithms to manipulate and to coerce and to basically, if we don't like your message, it's not going to get published.
Correct.
That's wrong. That's so wrong. That the founding fathers would be rolling over in their graves right now.
And the gallows would be a full.
Yeah.
Let me just put it that way. Listen to this. The primary liaison between the FBI and Silicon Valley is Elvis Chan, Assistant Special Agent in charge of Cyber Branch of the FBI San Francisco Division. During the 2020 and 2022 election cycles, this is very important, and this is what I complained about ad nauseum during my 2 years during this time, where I was being censored and throttled.
Time to drink.
Agent Chan was responsible for organizing and hosting a bilateral meeting between social media companies and the FITF, that's the task force. In one email to a Facebook employee sent shortly before the 2020 election, Agent Chan asked that employee, quote, ensure all Facebook referrals regarding foreign influence come through San Francisco and me. Agent Chan added that the FITF had specifically asked to have everything related to Facebook referrals regarding foreign influence, elections, national security cyber threats get funneled to San Francisco since we know all the players and make sure everyone is looped in. That's called data scrubbing. That's so wrong. That is called data scrubbing with a net. It is not, see, when you get a warrant or a FISA warrant, or you have the right to essentially tap people, you have to have a warrant, and it's usually done in a secret court. This is a wide dragnet that is saying, we don't have any specific information, but we're going to capture all information and decide what can be disseminated and what can't. It is absolutely what a state-run media does.
Yep.
This is what companies... This is what...
It's straight up 1984.
This is what Leroy and I worked on from a counterintelligence perspective, that we would brief people on of what was going on in countries in regards to their media and the flow of free information. We would brief that this company, from a geopolitical standpoint, from an information standpoint, from a logistical standpoint, from an armament standpoint, we would go ahead and write a package about all of that. And in this case, if I was trying to give a brief on this country, I would say that it was influenced by a weaponized counterintelligence agency ran by the government, funded by the government, and that information was being filtered like a state-run media source. That is what I would say based upon this information. Mild to moderate disinformation and state-run media in this country is what I would say.
You have a question from the audience.
Yeah, go.
Uncle Stumpy from Rumble wants to know, how can the American public hold these people accountable?
Okay, so this is the problem, right? That's a whole nother, that is a whole nother question, because the American people from an individual standpoint cannot. And that's where individual liberty ends. It has to be the collective. It has to be a majority of people. This is where the whole democracy thing comes in. Every 2 years, we get to overthrow the government legally. Hold on, Leroy. Hold on. We get to overthrow the government legally with voting. Now, if that truly is what people say, is that it's no longer a viable option, then I don't know how to answer your question. Because the only option that we have is one that is completely not an option in my eyes, because it's one that we will never win. Leroy, go ahead.
Your best course of action right now for everyone who's listening to this and thinking to yourself, wait, was my Twitter post edited? Was my Facebook account, did I have a post that was taken down by government direction? If that kind of thing terrifies you, then you should see this and you should immediately call, email your senator, your congressman, and let them know how displeased you are with the fact that Uncle Sam is letting or disallowing certain posts. You need to do that. And I'm completely serious. I don't normally
It is true.
I don't normally get this so torqued off about this kind of thing, but this is wrong.
Oh, you haven't even heard. I mean, wait. But folks, it starts at, like I've said this before, it starts at the city, state, and local government. You need to do your part. You need to share this. You need to get this information out. You need to tell people about this. You need to educate. It needs to become a movement. But Wray is sitting up there and he's hiding behind the guys that Donald Trump appointed him. If you want to make sure that the FBI doesn't have power, if you want to make sure that the wrong SCOTUS judges don't get in there, the only thing you can do is vote for the people who are going to appoint conservative judges and conservative people. But Wray is a lifetime Republican, folks. You can hate him all you want, but that guy's record is lifetime Republican. He just doesn't like Trump. People who went into Trump's administration were not vetted properly. Donald Trump had almost 5,200 people to have his people hand select. And I will tell you, it was a shitty job from the start. It took them almost 2 years. And to be honest, the president's first 100 days are their most important. They will get more done in the first 100 days than they will in the other 1,200. The 100 days are critical. Donald Trump did not hit the ground running. The first thing they did was sign a $2.5 trillion pork barrel bill that was shoved down his throat so he could get his defense spending. Huge screw up. Republicans were divided and did not support him. And still, he got more done in a year and a half than any other president combined. But if you want to see change, it starts at the state and local government. Let me go ahead and get through the rest.
Stacey Banks has a question. It says, oh, shit, I just lost it. Do you think we're headed to a one world order?
No, I think this has nothing to do with one world order. Folks, you got to get off the Q sites. You got to get off the alt-right sites. You got to just, this is enough. Nobody should be focused on anything else other than the FBI had a breach and you don't know about it. That's the whole point. I don't want to hear about the New World Order. I don't want to hear about Androchrome. I don't want to hear about voting. I don't want to hear about stolen elections. I want you to focus and narrow your vision to one thing, small bites at a time. This is the suppression of free information in our country. That is more paramount than anything else.
Don't think of it in terms of a world order or a one world order or anything. Don't think of it in terms of like that. Just try to metabolize the fact that if as we're reading this, right, what you should be hearing is that my civil liberties are being eroded, and you need to call your senator, you need to call your congressman to get that reversed. That's it.
Okay, I've got to address this personally from Debbie. Debbie, listen to what I'm trying to say. You've been a fan of the show for a long time. She says, I'm tired of being accused of being involved in Q. If you're espousing things about elites eating children and using their blood for regenerative powers, that's Q. If you're saying bioweapon labs versus biolabs, that's Q. If you're saying Putin is fighting Nazis, that's Q. If you're saying stolen election and watermarked ballots, that's Q. If you're saying these things, I didn't say you're Q. I didn't say you're Anon. You're not Q. Q is a person, supposedly. And the data leaks from
right?
Q started to truly ask questions. The Anons are the people who follow. And this is where QAnon is lazy media writing. I'm not saying that you're a bad person because you're saying things that are related to Q. What I'm telling you is stop, wait, and don't move forward without exculpatory evidence. Not some video. Do you know how much stuff I disprove on a daily basis on Twitter? And I go after Republicans who are reposting things. There's one with Hunter Biden, and he's buck naked. And there's a 12-year-old girl there. It's photoshopped. There are things that we do. There's things that you need to understand, that there's misinformation out there, and you have to be extremely careful. You have to be careful because it can change the shape of where your vision goes and distract you from the things that are important. I hear all the time, oh, this is another distraction. You know what? I don't get distracted. I verify, I vet, and then I either take it and use it or I move on. You've got to do the same thing. Carrie, your drops that you're talking about are how old? Carrie, you don't know where this information is coming from. You guys are constantly always worried about disinformation, but you don't verify your source. How do you know the things that you're getting from those drops aren't completely full of shit? Because I can prove to you that they...
can't see her comments, by the way.
I can prove to you that they are, Carrie. You know, you guys always like to go ahead and say that you guys are always right. Let me ask you a question. You didn't hear about Guantanamo Bay? That was a Q drop. So let me ask you a question. Carrie, let's settle this once and for all, because you're going to continue to pretend that you are not Q through and through. And I'm going to go ahead and challenge you because you don't have the courage to call in, because you know what I'll do to you. So let me ask you a question. Do you believe that Hillary Clinton was executed in Guantanamo Bay? Answer the fucking question.
You know, and I
no, please, nothing. I just want Carrie. I want Carrie to answer the question. Do you believe Hillary Clinton was executed in Guantanamo Bay? Answer the question. And you know what? I know there's people going, oh, you're going after your users. I am. Yep, I'm most certainly going to do that right now. I'll wait. Was Hillary Clinton executed in Guantanamo Bay, and is she a body double? Do you believe that? It's a simple yes or no. There's nothing else. It's yes or no, because that was a Q drop. Show me in the drops where they were. Absolutely. Well, we're going to do At War Clandestine next. No, I don't believe in that, Matt, and that is not in the drops. Bullshit! You're lying. Carrie, you're done with me. You're done with me. I've worked with you for too long, and I can't stand you being completely as gullible as you are. I just refuse. None of it's in the Q drops. So everything that was in the Q drops that you can prove, okay, show the drop. You know why? Because it's not being regurgitated anymore because they know it's full of shit. You don't believe that the At War Clandestine was based off of a Q drop, and he went ahead and said it was a Q drop, which the bioweapon labs were being hit by Vladimir Putin, and he was going after the Nazi regime. That's not a Q drop. That's what you're going to tell me. That was not espoused to be a Q drop.
What about the whole Epstein pizza?
Oh yeah, Pizzagate. Oh yeah, Pizzagate. Of course. Okay. You guys, it's hilarious to me how you take credit for none of it. You take credit for none of the failures, but you espouse the things that are randomly correct or portions are correct. So let me ask you a question. After the election, when Q and the drops said that there was a standing National Guard that was there to arrest when Joe Biden was inaugurated on the 20th, that they were there to arrest all the congressmen and all the senators, and the gates that they put up had nothing to do with January 6th, but it was ordered by Donald Trump, who was still in power. A military coup took place. That wasn't a Q drop? Oh, fuck. Forget it, Carrie. You're done.
You know what?
You're done.
Can I just say
I'm
something?
so done. I'm so sick of the Q bullshit. Go ahead.
Just
Leroy.
out of frustration, can I just say that for the people who watch this show, and for the people who watch Matt or myself, and come here for valued opinions, I don't like groups. And when I say I don't like groups, I don't like any groups. The only group that I really can kind of appreciate is the U.S. Navy, right? The military. But then again, the whole idea behind that is that we swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, which is basically a promissory thing to say, look, I support individuality. I don't like groups. I don't like QAnon. I don't like, or the Q versus the Anon. I don't like Proud Boys. I don't like any of those idiots.
Me neither.
I don't like any of the leftist groups. I don't like bowling leagues. I don't like any of that shit. I just,
You don't like
appreciate.
bowling?
I'm kidding.
Yeah. What the hell's wrong with you? What about music? Do you like music groups?
I love bands, but I appreciate individuality.
So you're not a
right?
Swiftie?
No, not a Swiftie.
I am. I'm a
not
Swiftie.
As a matter of fact, the greatest band ever is Rush. But that doesn't matter.
Leroy, you need to get to the point because I need to listen. I need to get this off my chest.
What I'm saying is when we're talking about these groups like Q and Anon and their drops and all of the, get off of that. It's a different mindset. It's one that is subservient to a group that basically says that you're susceptible at some level to their influence, and I hate that. It drives me nuts.
Oh my God. Here's the Q anthem. Research. Do your research. Like I'm incapable. I have created how many thousands of hours of content and I'm incapable of basic research. I've done the research and it's bullshit, bogus crap. And listen, I'm going to just put it to bed. Carrie, I've told you this before. You refuse to listen. So I'm going to ask you right now to please listen to me. As you pretended that you were not telling people how to get Q drops and how to get information on the new and improved QAnon. I've addressed this with you before, and you told me, oh, I didn't say that. And I went back and I read the chat. Yes, you did. You exactly pointed out to people how to go ahead and get information. I told you, don't spread that shit on my site. So here you go.
Right.
I'm not challenging the original drops. I've read the original drops, and during that time, and I will tell you there was information on there that did absolutely expose things about child trafficking. It exposed the elites in Hollywood. These things were all under the seedy underbelly. There were other things that made you question things. And I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. But like all good groups that started out with positive intent, including Occupy Wall Street and BLM and Proud Boys and the Qers and the Tea Party, it was taken over by special interests. It was infiltrated and taken over. So when you sit here and say, oh, well, that's just a bunch of shills, that is the movement now. Just like the Tea Party was completely overtaken by far-right religious extremists and the Koch brothers, who funded every aspect of the Tea Party and took it away from Ron Paul. When he exfilled from that, it was then turned into something completely different. And that is what I'm trying to say to you. You sit here and try to draw lines of delineation separating these shill groups and the guys in their basement who are a bunch of liars who are making money off this. And there is no difference because those are the people spreading the information now. And it's a bunch of nonsense. John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive and he's running the world. Give me a break. Lizards are in the White House. You're dumbifying the country and you're propagating it by spreading this crap. And if you aren't, get on my show and defend yourself. Because you've been here laying in the seed for I don't even know how long. Year? If you've got the moxie to put me down and shut me up, then do it. Come on the show and shut me up and tell me why I'm wrong. But you and I both know that this movement has been taken over by a bunch of basement-dwelling putzes who are milking the people who don't investigate truly and focus on the facts. And I think they're abhorrent, and I think they're absolutely detrimental to the conservative movement in this country. That is my absolute opinion. Prove me wrong.
No, because the root of conservatism is individuality.
She's got to be
anything beyond that.
She's got to be a Fed. You got to be FBI. I mean, there's just no. You purposely try to distract from the show, and you completely have something here that is 100% provable and accurate. You're a Fed.
She's a Zelensky plant.
You're a Fed. You work for the FSB or something,
Maybe
Carrie.
it's Putin himself.
You're purposely trying to distract from the show. You got to be a Fed. You got to be a Fed.
Good old
There's just no doubt. Anyone, and you're masterful. You're better at it than I am because you get me off topic quicker than anyone else on this show, and you're so good at it. And I don't ban you. And I don't ban you because I like you. I really do. But I don't appreciate you undermining the essence of this show, which is absolutely 100% without equivocation that we don't make statements unless we have quantifiable fact.
You should share what she's saying with the rest of us because we can't.
All right, Carrie. And Carrie's not a bad person. Carrie just likes to. Oh, I like to absorb everything. I hate that.
Stephen,
you know what?
E.
That's like
Jackson.
saying I like to stick my dick in everything that I can, and I don't mind about the STDs. I mean, I'll take an antibiotic and I'll be safe.
Stephen E. Jackson says all they want you to do is buy gold. Who the hell said that? Are you one of those guys that like comes on here after watching 3 hours of
I'm William Defane. You should buy gold from Rosalind County.
No. Silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold,
funny.
silver.
William Defane comes on when we're watching the news, and the kids will sit there. Okay, it's going to be silver this time. It's going to be gold this time, and they make bets on what it's going to be. It's pretty funny.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share.
Basically, going to tell you to figure life out for yourself, and if you feel like you need to buy gold, then go do it. But we're not going to tell you to do it. Piss off.
Carrie, listen to your backspin. Here it is. Oh my God, Carrie, God, I care about you, and I wish you would call. I really do. And if I don't care about you, I don't get this animated. I really don't. But I really care about you, and I care about you breaking free of this stuff because some of the stuff you share is just nonsense. I have no interest in cutting you down. I want you to cut me down. Cut me down to size. Educate me. But this is the part. And what you said about groups taking it over is what I was trying to point out. What? Then why are you sharing it? Then why do you constantly talk about it? Then why do you constantly bring up stuff? I don't understand. The last thing when I do, when I get a hold of a piece of misinformation, I quash it. I crush it on social media. I find it, I break it down, and I do my best to have anyone who's in my purview to listen and go, that's fake. And I did it with the gay pride march. I was the only one. I was the only one who did it. Nobody else did what I did. And I said, those are two people voicing over it. That's not the entire march. That's not what they're saying. I was the only Republican. People are still sharing it. They're sharing it on Ron DeSantis' commercial. They are lying to people that a simple pride parade, they're coming after your children. And people believed it. And it's a lie. And if that gets one person who's gay or lesbian hurt, isn't it worth it just to tell the truth? And I may not make friends. People may not watch the show, but why spread disinformation? Why encourage people to go to a place that's been taken over by a bunch of basement-dwelling putzes? Melanie says, maybe she likes to get you all heated, Matt, doing Liv a favor. Well, maybe that's the case. All right, listen. I want to go through the rest of this document.
Stampeding
cattle through the Vatican? Kinky. All right, let's get to the rest of this.
You must be hitting something. We keep getting links to other things on Rumble, and I have to keep blocking them. So somebody's listening.
There's nothing wrong. Listen, folks, I'm not telling you not to disseminate this stuff, but okay, your influence needs to be protected like your virtue. Ronald Reagan said it best, just say no. There are times where you should not absorb things, but keep it there to collect, to try to contradict the next thing that comes up. It's just a different way of thinking. And you notice, you guys remember Ryan who came on the show a little bit, and I haven't seen Ryan much
Samuels?
anymore. Yeah, Ryan Samuels. But he goes, man, he's like, you and Leroy are totally intel guys. I knew it the first time I saw you on because you guys think differently than everyone else on the planet. And we do. We think, that's why we're in intel. We were psychologically profiled for it. We were tested. We have the capacity. And the reason why is because we are the number one thing, inquisitive and curious, which are the same thing. We have to get to the bottom of things. And that's why we're good at our job. Leroy, go ahead.
We have about 140 people on. So I'm going to tell you right now that
more than that.
When you're talking about intel people, there is something called the intelligence cycle. And it's not classified. It's something that anybody can look up. Go ahead and Google it now. But the very first part of that is like planning and direction. And then step 2 is collection. And then there's this whole process. And by the time you get to the end of it, it's about dissemination and integration. Now, what that is intended to do is to start this process on how to think analytically. The second last step for the intelligence process is analysis and production. And during that process, you have to bring in facts, hard facts. You have to go through everything. Doesn't matter if it goes against what your perceived narrative is or not. It doesn't matter. Facts are facts. But here's the thing. When you're doing that, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to dig more. So when I hear all these comments about Q and Anon and Proud Boys and this narrative here and lizard people, it drives me up the wall. Just absolutely drives me nuts because none of it makes sense. Not to Matt's point, not to an analytic mind.
And it's not, and it's not, okay. Folks, I'm not attacking Carrie. I am trying to get her to come over to a different side of thought process. It's not to change the way she thinks. It's to enhance it. It's to stop absorbing and start deflecting. Don't let it enter your brain and influence you. Use it to discredit things and establish somebody's credibility or lack thereof. The moment that At War Clandestine said that the initial strikes on Ukraine were specifically targeting bioweapon labs, that guy lost every ounce of credibility, and I will never listen to anything he says again. I will read his stuff. I will process his stuff, but I will never, ever, ever, ever listen to him as a credible source without verifying, ever. I'm asking you to do that. Okay? Now, can we get back to the thing that's important? Because I really want to cover this document. Thanks for...
Yes, you have one more question about it, though.
Holy crap. Go
Somebody
ahead.
said, I guess I'm dumb. What is the Q thing?
All right.
So somebody's new.
Okay, I'm done talking about Q for tonight. But what I will do is just say this. There are a series of drops of intelligence. Somebody posing as an inner... they're in the inner sanctum, right? And they've got information, and they were using certain types of web programs, whether it's P2P or IRC or whatever. These are programs that can be used, dark web, whatever, to take information and leak it to a group of people from an anonymous source simply known as Q. Now, I will tell you this. If you're going to believe everything you read from anonymous sources, I will tell you 99% of the time, it's disinformation from counterintelligence inside the United States. I'm just letting you know. If you have access to a channel that everyone else has access to, the United States government is monitoring that, and they know everything coming in and out of it. And nobody is leaking shit in that channel. If you can access it and it's open, Leroy, tell him. Tell him I'm wrong.
No. You're spot on. And I was actually just going to ask, I was watching a show today. I'll hit you up with this after the fact.
You guys have no idea how large counterintelligence is in the United States. You have most of the agencies are counterintelligence. A lot of people, they go out there and they go in foreign governments. No, they monitor here. They monitor communications happening all over the world. They monitor satellites. They monitor computers. They monitor landlines. Hell, they can even go through, in some cases, your 220 and 110 in your house, which you don't understand, and you don't need to. There are so many different apparatuses that collect intelligence. If you believe that you're wired in and you're getting secret information from an insider inside, and it's not a giant dump or a data link or a one-on-one communication with chaos theory and algorithms of 512 to 1 gig encryption, if you're not meeting somebody with actual physical evidence of scanned documents or photos or what, you're being played. You're being played. I will tell you this. I don't have any secret contacts. I get generalized information that is all unclassed. I don't have any ins where I can call somebody and find out what's happening in the inner workings of the government that's happening in certain wings of the Pentagon. You know what those friends of mine who still have clearances are going to tell me? Dude, you ask me that ever again, and you're getting a knock on your fucking door. And you're going to get black bagged. Don't ever talk to me again about that. That's what they would say. Intelligence, there's a reason why our saying is, in God we trust, all others we monitor. There's a reason why we say that. That's our motto. We don't trust anybody. So can you stop pretending that there's this secret person who's on a computer, on the internet, using a VPN and maybe bouncing off a couple satellites over Europe, is going to be leaking real data, and the NSA and Department of Homeland Security don't know about it? The FBI may be horrible at what they do, but the NSA is not. Okay? So can we just get off the Q topic, please?
You will never.
I'm not saying that there's not leaks. I'm not saying that there's not quantifiable data out there being breached, but I'm telling you right now, most of that stuff that you're latching onto, if it's not an unauthorized dump, is BS, and it's usually controlled information. Go ahead, Leroy.
You will never be wrong if you are advocating for the rights of the individual American. You will never be wrong. To fight for someone's ability to speak their mind, or 2A, go through the whole Bill of Rights. Whatever one you want to focus in on, go for it. You will never be wrong. But the moment you start buying into any of those narratives that slowly kind of twist people's minds into basically saying, well, this person should, or this group should, or the world should. The people from the left describe the world as how they think the world should be. But conservatives, the people on the right, they see the world for how it is.
Yes.
That's what we need to defend.
Okay. So I'm not mad. I'm passionate about this. I'm the only person out there who does this. Do you want to know why Ben Shapiro doesn't go after Q? Do you want to know why Crowder doesn't go after Q? Do you want to know why these guys don't? Because they don't want to lose viewers. And I know it's unpopular to say it, but I've had Qers on this show, folks, and they are certifiably, I need to bring a bag of pistachios, walnuts, and fucking almonds every time they come on my show, because they're nuts. Every one of them. I had one call my house for 2.5 hours, and I had to convince him that I wasn't FBI. 2 hours. And I finally called him. I said, dude, if you ever call my house again, I swear I'm going to sick every single person that I know in the community on you. And finally he calmed down and then started talking. He took his meds. This guy was absolutely off his rocker. And I tried to help him because he's a vet, and he was talking about suicide. So I was trying to help him. If you knew half the conversations I had offline and how many I have every single day, you would understand. You would understand. It's just the amount of disinformation that's corrupting people's brains, and smart people. It makes me sick to my stomach. All right. Let's move on from this. Oh, shit.
All right.
Hold on. Hatch Act. Somebody asked me about the Hatch Act. The Hatch Act was, I don't know, 1938, I think. WPA, Democrat ran local state influence. It was a workers' force or something other type union. Was influencing 39. Folks, good night. Thanks so much. I'm popping smoke. I missed it by a year. Take care of the Veteran Crisis Hotline. Good night. All right. So 1939, fine, no credibility. 1939, and ultimately the Hatch Act in the simplest form is that you cannot use political influence in a state of serving your government and use it in a couple of ways. One is that you can't work with a foreign government and entity without disclosing it to the United States government. You can't use taxpayer-funded locations, assets, or whatever to promote political campaigns. And this is what got KJP and Jen Psaki in a little bit of hot water, is that they were talking about MAGA, which is a political movement, and using the pulpit and the White House press secretary role, which is taxpayer funded, to run anti-political campaign through that informational institution. You can't do that. It's against the Hatch Act. It goes much deeper in that. You can also get into churches when it comes to the Hatch Act, and churches not allowed to take political stances. And if they do, they can lose their tax liability and their freedom from being a tax-free entity. There's many things involved, and it's very expansive. But essentially, it was used to thwart a Democrat proposed it. I don't remember his name. I know it's not Orrin Hatch, but that's most recent. But they're Hatch something, maybe Edwin Hatch, something to that effect. Anyway,
well, it's done to prevent federal programs to be administered in a nonpartisan way.
That's right.
You're not supposed to show favoritism.
Right. And it continues, and presidents have been thumped for it many times. Obama got hit for it. It happens. But remember, out of the Hatch Act comes several other type of legislation that were bred from that, including foreign assets working for foreign governments in a government capacity is illegal, those type of things. This is why Joe Biden's in some deep trouble. FBI director, not Wray, but ultimately pretty much admitted that Joe Biden is under investigation for quid pro quo and taking bribes from Ukraine and the Chinese Communist Party. He's under investigation for this. Folks, when Joe Biden gets out of office, he is fuck-sword. He will be the Donald Trump 2.0. I've told you this. You don't believe me, but I'm telling you, the Republicans are going to drill him. Joe Biden, the moment he's out of office, he is in some serious hot water. There will be retribution. And honestly, let the chips fall where they may, okay?
Yeah, that's a really good point. If on the heels of each administration, because they really are pretty well insulated while they're wearing the title POTUS, but once they're out, really game on, right? And so, if every one of them are held accountable for all of the wrongs that they had done during their administration, and that kind of thing gets pretty well known to the media, that I can see where that actually is a benefit to the people, in that drives a higher quality candidate who's maybe not so slimy to decide to run for president.
Yeah. I want to share this last thing, and then we're going to go ahead and read this. Annie Marcelli, and I think Annie's been here before. Name's familiar, but it doesn't matter. You know, we've been lied to so much, and no one knows what to believe. I mean, it's like we can do so much research, and my question would be, which research is the truth? We're being fooled by certain facts. All I know is I try to observe what goes on where I live, or my friends and family telling me what's going on where they live. I don't believe in the whole Q thing. I did watch Q and their followers during 2021, which my cousin is a follower of Q. I told her the things, and they say it's so bizarre I don't understand it. Okay. I'm going to say something. I got to say it. I have to. I have to say it, because I'm going to start doing this, and it's going to piss people off. But I did this with the national anthem, and the black community is like, no pun intended, I'm like dressing me in spades right now. I'm getting blasted. I think I've had 137 comments on this national anthem. They're calling me whitey and cracker and a slave owner and whatever. I don't care. They have a right to say whatever the hell they want. They've been through some serious shit in their existence. They weren't slaves, mind you, and they have no reason to be complaining about that. But if they want to tee off on me and get some of that frustration, I'm fine with that. I don't care. But I'm going to start saying some things that are going to piss some people off. How about Benny Johnson? If you all watch Benny Johnson, stop.
I've seen him.
He's full of shit. And I'll just say it right. I know he's popular. He's more popular than me. His show will always be bigger than me. And he uses God to fool you.
Yeah. Yeah. He
uses the Lord to make you think he is a omnipotent and true Christian. And honestly, he's just a fucking shill. And he uses gotcha headlines and makes stuff up, and he lies constantly. The guy's a plagiarist. When he was writing, he stole content. He's not a good person, okay? And I'm done sitting here pretending he is, because I want to like him, but every day I look at his stuff and I look at his show and I try to watch it, and it's full of lies. And he misconstrues the truth, and he puts up gotcha headlines where hundreds of thousands of people read it, and they take just that headline and go ahead and espouse it as the truth. I can't stand it. Go ahead, Leroy.
No, I was just saying, I think that's the nature of media too, is that they thrive off of these sound bites, these 15-second clips, rather than having a conversation, which is like what we're having. And I think that's where really the truth lives. That's where when we start having these much longer conversations about what freedom or liberty or individuality, what it really means, you don't get so caught up in these punchline sound bites, which is what he seems to thrive off of. It drives me nuts. I don't appreciate it. Yeah.
And he stole my set.
I guess I prefer
and the
more
little
meaningful
shit
content.
And
That
the little
means he
shit
watches you.
And the little shit stole my set design. He stole my set design. Benny used a green screen, and now he's got like an AR in the back. And America, it's amazing how many people I have stealing my set design. You know what? And I don't care. But I'm never going to say what's popular. I'm never going to say what you like to hear. I'm just going to tell you what I think. And you may not like, and I'm not always right. I'm not always right. I never claim to be such. But what I do know is that I will always get to the right side. With enough information and enough digging, I will always uncover the truth. And I'm proud of this year. I am proud of what we've uncovered. We have uncovered, as a small-time podcast, a shit ton of great stuff, including this tonight. I think the work that we did on that Facebook thing the other night is some of the best work we've done as a team. And we should be proud of it. I'll stand by that. And if I can do that once or twice a year, then that's all that matters to me. I'm not in it to make millions. And I'm not trying to disparage Benny. He knows what he is. You know what? I think he's a nice guy. He's got a beautiful family. He's got a gorgeous wife. He's doing well in life. He's making money. And this is his thing. Sure. Great. But I'm just going to tell you, he's full of shit. And he's a gotcha guy. And he's just as bad as the guys on the left. Go ahead.
He definitely serves his audience, right? He definitely looks at a particular type of person, a particular demographic, or a person of particular leanings, and he tells them what they want to hear, right, over sometimes what can be an uncomfortable truth. And I prefer the uncomfortable truth end of things. I don't like the gotcha headlines, and I certainly don't like just feeding someone what I think they want to hear. I think that's disingenuous, and it's kind of slimy.
All right. For the sake of Olivia's brain, I got to jump and do this. President Zelensky purged the SBU of Russian collaborators after the SBU's censorship work with the FBI. On July 16th, the Ukrainian government arrested Oleg Kolachek, former head of SBU's main department in Crimea, according to findings from Ukraine's State Bureau of Counterintelligence. Page 9. The extent of Russia influence remaining in the SBU today is unclear. According to an April 2023 interview of an FBI spokesman, Russia's FSB intelligence operatives had infiltrated both Ukraine's SBU security service and local government, undermining Ukraine from within with the help of from fugitive pro-Moscow Ukrainian officials. The spokesperson further suggested that the revelations today could prove to be only the tip of the iceberg. All of the FBI's interactions with the SBU discussed in this report occurred prior to Zelensky's removal of Bakanov from his post atop the SBU and the arrest of Kulnachik, Bakanov's personal advisor, but simply the FBI worked with on behalf of a foreign intelligence agency widely known to be compromised by Moscow at the time and directly abated efforts to censor Americans engaging in protected speech. As a result, the FBI agents' actions had the potential to render substantial aid to the Kremlin's war effort. This is something I will do like I always do and provide all of the receipts. There are documents. This thing goes on for a long time. This investigation is not small. This was a widespread breach of security protocol, and the FBI ultimately did the bidding of a foreign asset. So when you ask the question this, while Wray is up on that stand and they are challenging him, if I was the one senator or House of Representatives, here's what my question would be. And I haven't seen if Eli Crane was involved in this. I don't think it was Eli's committee. But here's what I would ask. Mr. Wray, I want to apologize for the way you're being treated for a lifelong service in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I don't believe that all FBI people are bad, and I don't believe you have nefarious means to overthrow the government or there's some secret coalition trying to do this or that. I want to commend you for your service. I have one question, and only one question, and the rest of my minutes will be deferred to you to answer it. You are aware of the FSB infiltration of Ukrainian intelligence and how that intelligence apparatus was used to infiltrate and extrapolate information from the FBI and also apply censorship and overall oversight that you had absolutely no authority to do with any piece of legislation or executive order or emergency power given. Since you are sitting here denying all of these charges from this body and saying you can't speak on that, how can America, and most importantly, right now, us, since we are the voice of America, ever trust anything you say again? And then I would shut the fuck up and let him answer. And the moment that he didn't, that's all I would need. This, if you want to talk about something that should throw us into revolt, it's that. The FBI did what the CIA has wanted to do for 6 decades, which is to spy and monitor and control the amount of information coming into the United States by foreign governments. And that is expressly forbidden for the CIA to do so. The FBI is supposed to act on the Department of Justice based upon evidence of wrongdoing. That's not what they did. They utilized systems and programs that were designed to stop foreign governments from infiltrating and spying on United States citizens, using that money, using that information obtained to blackmail, to coerce, to control American citizens to work up against their government. That's what they're designed to do from an intelligence standpoint. And what did they do? They became the NSA and the CIA wrapped into one, and they absolutely broke 100% their area of responsibility and their order.
It's an overreach.
And they should all be held accountable. They should all be fired and removed. Everyone who was involved. Leroy, go, and then we'll let Olivia say something, and then I'm going to change gears.
It's a massive overreach. When a 3-letter of all government agencies, when you have a 3-letter that is basically intervening with social media from pressures from I don't care.
Ban Thomas. Hold on. Ban Thomas Wyde. WIED. Please, somebody ban him. Go ahead, Leroy. Sorry.
When you have a 3-letter that is intervening in an American company, right? Social media company, and basically say, look, we want you to run certain algorithms to allow for this or disallow for that. No. Piss off. That is not your purview.
That's right.
That is nowhere even anywhere close to being constitutional. It is a clear overreach, and you need to pound salt. That's what Facebook should have said. That's what Twitter should have said. But that's not what happened. And it was probably just because it's a 3-letter agency. Because when someone flashes FBI, people tend to get freaked out and say, "Oh my God, you still have rights, people, and your rights trump any 3-letter agency. You have rights for a reason, and one of those rights is the ability to say what you want." Sorry.
I'm going to say one last. Somebody's just mentioned the World Economic Forum again. Why are we worried about the WEF when it's actually happening here within the confines of our own government? I don't care about the WEF. Do you understand the amount of power? People have been talking about the WEF trying to go ahead and change the UN and the World Health Organization. Remember that scare? That scare happened in 1992 as well. It happened in 98. It happened in 2002, 2006, 2012, 2016 under Trump. It just dropped in 2020. And also people were sitting here saying it was going to happen in 2022. And I told you all to relax, that the World Health Organization will never, ever have power over sovereignty of the United States and any of the countries that are involved. And you all flipped out about the World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum is just like everything else. It's just like the NWO. It's just like the Solinsky movement. It's just like communism, socialism. It's a form of mentality of how to operate government, and it is not at all popular in the world. Nobody wants a one banking monetary system. Nobody wants a one government to rule all. Nobody wants kings. Relax on the WEF stuff and focus on the shit that's actually happening in the United States, please.
It's like the UN, but for economic purposes.
Right.
And the
That's
fact
all
of the
it
matter
is.
is, the United States will never be subservient to any other nations in terms of economic prowess. It's just never going to happen.
That's it. Just let go. Let go.
By percentage of economic engine, the United States soaks up roughly 25% of all activity in global GDP. That's huge. No one even comes close to that.
No. And this whole new Russian, South Africa, and Iran unity thing is nothing. It's going to be like 1.2% of the overall profile that the United States has. Nobody cares. Nobody's touching the U.S. right now. Okay, go ahead, Leroy.
Right. No, I was just saying that, and they won't. They won't ever. The only one that's even come close was China, but they're in the hole now. They've sunk by at least between 5 and 7 points just in the last 2-3 years because of COVID. So, and they will never recover from that, by the way.
Quickly, I got to shift gears because I got to get Olivia in here. She's going comatose on me. I'm just like, dude, show me some
Olivia.
love, baby. So
That's my brain.
This show does it when sometimes. This is a good episode, damn it.
It's a fantastic episode. I just don't have a clue what you guys are talking about.
When
it comes to intelligence stuff like this, you two are in your own little world, and I'm honestly a little intimidated because I don't know 99% of what you guys do.
We love you. We love you for what you're about to see. Here it is. You guys remember the African-American lady, Jill Scott, who changed the words of the national anthem to a bunch of racist bullshit and how everyone's oppressed and America was built on the slaves in 1619 and we shouldn't be here and everyone's horrible and we should all take our white guilt and jump off into the Grand Canyon and fill it up and all that crap. And yeah. Okay? Well, this gentleman decided to sing the national anthem. And I don't know the whole story because I just got this at the last, and I was moved to tears. Because this kid comes out and apologizes for wearing his hat while he did the national anthem. Straight up apologized. And this is what it says. His name is, I think it's Iam Tongi or Lam Tongi. I'm going to say Iam Tongi. Okay? Tens of thousands of people. I walk out and my uncle reminds me to remove my hat before I start singing.
Aww.
I remember a few seconds later, the nerves took in and I didn't remember until it was all done. I will try to do better next time. The humility, the deference, the deference to a fellow American to apologize for disrespecting the flag when his intention was not. This guy gets an absolute effing pass. I want him on my show. I want to say this is why it gives me hope and why I'm an American. It gives me faith that people can actually stop and show respect. And when they make a mistake, they can simply say, I made one. And guess what? I don't care. Because everything that was said unspoken with that hat was completely erased with his voice. He won American Idol.
Wait.
And listen to this.
Good night, man.
He's got some lungs. Holy moly.
Where are the Jets? Where are the Jets? I hear him.
Look at that. He says, I'm so sorry.
He crushed it. Thank God.
Dude. Like, you know, I wrote quickly to all the YouTube haters, and it's amazing. I've got 600, like, I don't know, 90 followers on something like that on YouTube, and I just wish it would grow. You know, and that's all I want is I want to reach more people, and it's just unfortunate because same thing with Threads and the same thing with Twitter. Like I've lost over 100 Twitter followers because I stopped advertising, and it's all a bunch of fake accounts, and it's just sad, you know. But you're restored by this. But I broke down the words. And I just simply asked, please tell me what offends you about being challenged to be brave. What offends you about being challenged to do something more for the people around you than yourself and to be selfless? That every individual makes up the field and the stars and stripes and the bed of 50 stars, is that everybody's represented. There is no state left out. Purity and justice and lawfulness are not things that should be offensive to people. Those are the things that create the inclusivity and equality that you're begging for. There's nothing in the words of those songs that you could possibly find offensive, because the stanza that did talk about slavery was removed for a reason, because your voice was heard and it was taken out. And the long form of the national anthem is no longer sung in any event. I've never heard it sung in any event, except for at Valor one time the full was sang, and it was horrible. And that stanza is removed because it sucks. And it was from a time that's no longer indicative of what America's about. Didn't you win? Didn't you win when that took place? Why can't you stand up and just sing for the loftiness of the anthem and not the failed expectation of it? I don't understand.
When people sing the anthem, something that always strikes me is that you can go anywhere as an American in the world. So if you were to move to China, will you ever be considered a Chinaman? If you move to Italy, will you ever be considered an Italian? Yet, people can be moved to come to the United States, and they will immediately be accepted as Americans. And it's only up to you to shed, whatever nationality you came from, right? And it's a mindset to say, look, I'm an American now. Nowhere in the world does anything like that exist. So when Matt is talking about that inclusivity, that's what we're talking about. It's something that doesn't exist anywhere in the world. You can't go to South Korea and be accepted as a South Korean. It won't happen. But you can come to America, and
if you're from England,
be greeted with open arms.
And if you're from England, you're still a Brit, and you'll never be an American.
Yeah.
I don't forget. Liv, your thoughts on that performance? I know you love. He reminds me of, I can't remember the gentleman's name who's sang Under the Rainbow with his ukulele from Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The Hawaiian guy.
So beautiful. I mean, I just want to hug that guy. I want to hug him. Like, the fact that he knew he had his hat on and you're supposed to take it off. But you'll see country music stars do it all the time. They'll have their ball cap on and they're singing the national anthem at hockey games and stuff. They don't take it off. But just the fact that he knew, and at that moment in his probably second greatest thing besides winning American Idol in his life, and he has the presence of mind to be selfless and care about the collective as an individual, is what America's all about. But Liv, I would like to get your thoughts.
He needs to replace Colin Kaepernick, because Colin Kaepernick doesn't know shit about shit. So put him as the Nike spokesperson and whatever else. And because kids these days need to learn a little humility and pride and not this kneeling shit and disrespect for our flag.
It was amazing. And
so beautiful. I got goosebumps. It was absolutely beautifully sung.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I'm going to take my last minute tonight and say, I guess I'll say what I say to people who I work with and who work for me or with me or whatever. Is I picked this up in a really good movie called Meet Joe Black. And I think it's a beautiful movie. And it's one of my favorites. And it handles death better than any movie I've ever seen. It wasn't the most popular movie, but it's got all the things you need in it. It's got God, it's got money, it's got
Brad Pitt.
It's got Brad Pitt, right? It's totally got Brad Pitt. It's got the girl Claire Filani who fucking looks amazing in that movie. I love the movie and I love the music. The score is probably one of the most beautiful scores ever. It is haunting. It's just a series of crescendos and minors that just do a wonderful job of painting the complexity of the movie. It is done on a palette that is rarely achieved. I love the movie. One of my favorites. Reminds me of my father. One of the very few great things I remember about my father. But I love the music. And Anthony Hopkins says in there is I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I expect them to be accountable for them.
Sounds like Jurassic Park too.
Oh, did he say that in that too?
Yeah, when he was arguing with Nedry, the old man.
Was that when they were eating the ice cream in the thing too?
I don't expect people to. Yeah. It was almost that exact quote. Yeah.
Okay, so that quote has been handed down, and you know what, Jurassic Park, screw that. That doesn't have the impact that Joe Black does. But and now that I think about it, the quote actually may be from Jurassic Park instead, and the reason why is who's the actor? Is
Chris
it
Pratt in the most recent?
Oh my God! No, the
original
old ones.
1994 lady.
What was his name? It wasn't.
Played Santa Claus later. Yeah. Hold on.
No. The inventor, the guy who created it. It wasn't Walter. It wasn't Walter. God, what is it?
Looking it up.
It did David Attenborough.
Yes.
See, I'm good like that. It's David Attenborough. You know what? And David Attenborough.
Richard Attenborough.
Richard Attenborough. That's right. Richard Attenborough. Richard Attenborough and Anthony Hopkins remind me. Hold on a second. God dang. Richard Attenborough and Anthony Hopkins remind me of each other so much because of their voices and their presence and the way that they're just very good English stock. They have that voice of Shakespearean actors in New York summer festivals. And that's why. And I thought it was from that. It's not. It's from Jurassic Park. So thanks for ruining my whole story. Watch Meet Joe Black. It's great. But anyway, the whole thing I'm trying to say See, I can stand corrected. I can be wrong. I've been wrong once. So,
Would you like a ribbon?
No. But I think the thing that I would say is that to the people who think that I'm mad at you, I'm not. Or the people who think that I challenge you in a negative way and I'm trying to embarrass you. This is the way I communicate. And if we were at a table together drinking a few beers, I would talk to you the exact same way. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm trying to challenge your thinking. And like I said, I don't blame you for listening to Q or listening to some sort of stupid conspiracy theory site or listening to people who are just in it to get your click and get you to subscribe on their Substack, okay? I'm not blaming you. I just want you to be accountable for it. I want you to take ownership and say, you know what? I'm not always right. I believe in some things that are pretty outlandish, but overall I do it because I want to hear all sides. Okay, fine. Great. But don't say it's fact when it's not. There is nothing more frustrating to me, and it's a lack of accountability for you to do so. So once again, I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I expect them to be accountable for them. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Are we good? If not, I don't care. Go watch somebody else. Leroy, get your minute.
I love you, man.
I love you too, buddy.
You know, on the heels of that presser that Matt released, or that we were talking about today, about how three-letter agencies can kind of burrow their way into private companies to influence what you see or what you say or how you interact with others. That should terrify you. During the movie 1984, and during the book too, but really in the movie, the main actor who was in that worked for the government, and what his job was, he sat in front of all of these tubes, like bank tubes, where you would see bank deposits coming down, and what he would do is fact check, and then he would fold up the paper, right, stick it back in the tube and send it back out to say, yes, this is correct, or no, this is not correct, and you should say this. That level of interaction between the government and what you see or think or how you interact with others should frighten you. And I've said this before in the show. If it does, please, for the love of all that is holy, call your senator, call your congressman, and let them know how displeased you are with that finding, with that process, because it's not their responsibility to intervene in how you communicate.
And I've said it before. I'm not pro-Ukraine. That doesn't make me pro-Russia. I'm pro neither. I'm just going to tell you that us, or one of what we consider to be allies, will be at war with Ukraine within the next 5 years. Mark my words. Listen to what I'm saying. And how do I know that? Well, I can just go ahead and look at the 57 other proxy wars that we have funded and just tell you what's happened. And we can go into Libya, Bosnia, Herzegovina. We could go into Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kenya, Mogadishu. I can just do this all damn day. And I'm telling you, Ukraine's not going to end pretty, because one day the weapons are going to stop and Zelensky ain't going to be happy. And when Zelensky ain't happy, that little short man, that little Napoleon, is going to throw a temper tantrum. By the way,
God, he is short.
Look at this picture. The sign says, "Must be this tall to join NATO."
Yeah, little guy.
I'm going to post that tonight.
That's so great.
Oh, you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Gary.
Oh, no. Gary's a good guy.
Gary's a great guy. He just looks a little like him.
Gary Zolak. Oh, no. Don't make fun of Gary.
No, I love Gary.
I do not agree with you, you stupid white American woman. Women's.
Olivia, you have a minute, and I'm going to say that occasionally we do a show like this, and it just goes this way. And it's not meant to go this way, but it does. And I appreciate
Should
you.
we get some Hollywood gossip on Friday then?
We'll do we'll throw some Hollywood gossip your way. You have a minute to say anything you want. I think we got to everything tonight, so go ahead.
Because I don't know. I know I am speechless tonight.
That's
the
fine.
national anthem made me speechless.
Wasn't it beautiful?
It
though?
was beautiful. You should show it
It's
to
one of the
Hayden.
best renditions I've ever heard. I'm going to show Hayden meet Joe Black, and we're going to go watch that movie because I think she would love it. She loves that type of stuff. Folks, listen, Carrie, I love you. We fight like a married couple, and I know that you'll stick around because you always do. I'm not trying to hurt you. I want the best for you. That's all. And I want people to stop listening to these sources that are just trying to earn money from you. You never have to buy a shirt. You never have to subscribe. I don't want any of those things from it. I just want you to learn something every time you're here and go and teach it out and try to get other people to come in. That's enough. That's the most contrition you will ever receive from me. Folks, thank you for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Remember, Friday night we'll have Still Point. I'll have some advertising out. Come on by. Let's get as many people as we can. Just listen to the song. It's so fantastic. Can't wait for you to meet the guys at Still Point. They are fantastic. God bless. Thanks for watching. Leroy, as always, my friend, thank you, dude. It's good to have you here. You are awesome and a good friend. And Olivia, I love you. And we'll see you guys on Friday night,
Thanks
right?
for the conversation,
Oh,
Rumble.
now my nipples are hard.
Hopping tonight.
Hey, Rumble, did we get some followers on Rumble? I mean,
We've gotten 3 since Friday.
folks, we need some help on Rumble. If you are not on Rumble, go over there. Please do me a favor and just go over there and like, share, follow, and subscribe. Please, for the love of God. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Please
guys.
stick up for the 22 a day coming up here in a second. Good night, everybody.
Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. What are we doing?
Olivia, I put you on. Wave. Stop by and get my pot pie shirt. Get me my pot pie Olivia shirt. She's so proud of it. Doesn't she look so pretty? I love her hair that way. Take off your headphones real quick. Show everyone how cool your hair is.
My hair?
Yeah, it's so cool like that. Look at that. She looks like she's like in a 1950s, like, I'm going to the poodle skirt dance. All right, everybody. See you later. Bye. Oh, I can't find the file. Son of a gun. Hold on. Just pretend to do something fun. Here, why don't you dance? No, you don't know. You can't dance. Oh my God, where is it at? I'm trying to find it, sweetie.
What are you looking
I'm trying to find the closing stuff. The main closing video. There it is. Downloading. 30 megabytes. 40.
They're not downloaded.
I got it.
I'm David
See ya.
Boyanis with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets. We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important. For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call.
Yeah.